All right. We are live. Get some coffee. This is COFOH Live Undead. I am your host, Daniel Crozier, and I am joined by the amazing Tyler Jensen and Roman Chimienti. Wow!
Do I have something on my face?
That was an intro.
Roman, Tyler, thanks for coming on the show. How are you guys this morning?
Fantastic. I think you just woke me up.
That was
all of that.
a
So
lot of energy.
I think I'm going to be screaming all day long too. Let's do it.
We'll try to match this.
Yes. Well, yeah, you guys are, drinking up the coffee. Yeah, welcome to Colorado, both of you. It's so good to have you here, and you have an amazing event. We're going to be probably screaming, right? We'll be screening your documentary, Scream Queen, my Nightmare on Elm Street, about the experience of Mark Patton, and that'll be screening tomorrow at the People's Building at I believe 8 p.m. I think there's some 6 p.m. pre-shows going on at that venue. But yeah, again, guys, welcome. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you in person, not just online.
You think we look good? We smell even better. You got to come.
Oh, good. That's awesome. That's a weird, invitation, guys.
You'll only know if you go.
That's right. Excellent. So talk about the experience you in 4 dimensions then, huh?
Space and time.
Yes. Roman, Tyler, tell us a little bit about yourself, your backgrounds, and how you got into filmmaking, if you don't mind.
Sure. I'm an audio engineer full-time, and I work on all different kinds of projects, and that's actually how I met Tyler. He's an editor.
Right. We were working on what was it? It was a gay dating reality show. I was coming in to re-edit it. He was doing the sound for it. I overheard him talking to the producer that he was about to come to Florida to shoot the documentary that turned out to be Scream Queen. And I just heard him talk about, I'm going to make a documentary about Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and Mark Patton. And I lifted up and I showed him my Freddy tattoo. I have a little Freddy phone tattooed on my arm. I didn't say hello to this man at all. We didn't know each other. I'm just suddenly showing him my body tattoos. And it's like, oh, you're a nerd. Okay, we can work with this.
Yeah. But it was great because at the time, it was kind of random for me. It wasn't common to find other queer people that were into horror, Yeah. I mean, it's been growing since then. It's pretty popular now, but at the time it was really surprising. So I was really taken aback. Plus somebody that was actually working in my field, because I work around predominantly straight men.
Same.
All the time. So this was a great collision, and we have just been working together ever since,
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
And that documentary, just so you know, was a much bigger bite than we were expecting. Like we had no idea really what we were getting into with that. Like I had been talking with Mark Patton for about a year at least about this. He had this idea. He had come out and he wanting to tell his story, and it was we're still trying to fine tune what's the best way to present this. And the 30th anniversary of Elm Street 2 was coming up. So we thought, let's just go to this reunion and get what we can and build off of that. We had no idea what was about to happen. So,
and the rest is history.
Had we known, I don't know if it might have been a little intimidating. So,
it's that thing where you need like the youthful arrogance to be like, yeah, I can make a movie. No one's telling me no. We're going to do it ourselves until we need help. And at that point, you're like, well, we can't stop now. We've put too many years of our life into this. So
yeah,
it was a wonderful learning exercise, and I'm very proud of it.
It's a spectacular documentary. Before we went online, we went on air here. I was mentioning, what an eye opener it was for me as a white, straight guy. Kind of having that window of what it was like to be a gay person during the 80s. In particularly, being on a film set and participating in a film like that. How long were you guys working on the project? I've seen some interviews where it was as long of a process as like 5 years.
Probably even longer. Like I was the last person on the project, and him and Mark had been working, I don't know how long, but I started in February of 2015, and we showed the movie for the first time in 2019. Yeah.
But that's a normal time frame for a documentary. People, especially back then, people would always ask us, what's taking so long? But a documentary takes a long time if it's happening in real time, right? Our documentary this wasn't just a let's look back at what happened. It's also let's also follow him on the road. So it's hard to say like, oh, the story's done, because Mark, as you know, if you've seen this movie, he is going on a journey to confront his past in real time. So it's a little like, a traditional documentary mixed with a little reality TV too. So it took a while because we also had to let things play out as they needed to. His emotions, he has a couple of really emotional confrontations, and then even with that, he needed to sit with some of this and let it process. So 5 years. Yeah.
In film school, if you're making a documentary, a good documentary takes anywhere between 5 and 7 years. So you just have to go. You have to know that going into it. If it's a project worth doing, can I sit with it for 5 to 7 years?
Yeah, it's something that I wouldn't think about, but having like a good documentary like that, that depiction, it's a great conversation piece, and I don't know too many good conversations that ever really end. So I think idea kind of begets idea, and it was very very nice to see Mark kind of go through this depiction in your documentary, this kind of journey. And it seems like he's trying to do a lot of self-healing and confront some demons from his past. And again, like I said, when I went on, before we went live, I grew up in rural town and didn't really know that any gay people really growing up, until after I graduated, moved away, and then realized, oh yeah, these other individuals that they were gay, and they didn't feel, and I'm projecting, but it didn't seem like they felt safe coming out in a rural area, which is understandable because it was a very stereotypical environment to grow up in. And so I saw that as, well, maybe they felt like they had to protect themselves in that capacity. And absolutely. I think this documentary kind of opens me up to that perspective.
This is actually something that was very important for us when we were making this, was the idea that we can reach across the aisle and we can have a conversation with you and in a way that you wouldn't normally seek out a documentary with this theme. If we didn't have Freddy Krueger, we wouldn't be able to talk to new people. And so the point of this is, like, you say you're projecting, but I think it's you're bringing empathy, and we're learning to see common ground where it's like, okay, I have my worldview, and now I'm able to kind of like see the correlation between me and other people. I mean, it's just a great common denominator, this Freddy Krueger theme. And I like what you said earlier about conversations. Good conversations never really end, because that's why we're back here, is to, you know, because we came through, if people that are not familiar with the movie or have only, you know, heard of it, this is a making of Nightmare on Elm Street 2, but through the eyes of the main actor. So we get to hear about all the scandal that went on behind the scenes, but then you can actually start to like learn about what was the bigger picture that created this story. What was the landscape that basically sparked this fire? Yeah. And that was something that was, you know, as a gay man growing up, that was like always haunting me from behind. The AIDS epidemic and the stigmas and the homophobia and all that. But for somebody who isn't experiencing that, you wouldn't know. So this is a great way for people to kind of, it's also helped reframe the movie, because it used to be the most hated of the series, right? Let's just be real. People hated the gay one. Right. And now people are like, oh my God, actually, there's a lot here. I'm enjoying it more than some of these silly ones that came after. So it's coming full circle.
Yes, so many Freddy Krueger fans, you know, out there. They're constantly going to, you know, the original one, the first one, and then of course, you know, Dream Warriors. You know, those are their top two. And it's been in the last, for me, it's been in the last 15 years that you know, Freddy's Revenge, you know, Part 2, has really, you know, kind of, you know, come into its own in terms of you know, being on the public conversation. And then in the last few years, you know, having that extra glimpse into, you know, Mark Patton's experience, you know, with your film, and then I think with us, Colorado Festival of Horror, being able to talk to Mark and stuff, and see about, you know, booking him as a guest at some point. And it's always, you know, really refreshing to see those conversations, you know, come about. And sometimes it takes 30 or 40 years before something really comes about. Yeah, and give itself, you know, its room to you know, find its, you know, fans and champions too. And I also noticed that too, you know, not just with like the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, but with horror as a genre. You know, it's one of those genres that it might not find its audience right away out of the gate, but you know, give it a few years, it's going to find, you know, its group of people. And I don't notice that as much with other genres, you know, sometimes comedies, but certainly a lot of dramas. You know, you see those dramatic darlings that go through the film festivals, get the awards and the accolades that year, and then almost never heard of again after that. But with horror, for some reason, it just keeps building momentum, you know, and even if it's like a really bad film, I've seen way too many C films that suddenly have an audience today, you know, not even the B ones, but
it's true. I mean, I love plenty of not great movies for not great reasons. So I understand what you were saying, but
this was also a very interesting scenario where Mark I have to really hand it to Mark. He really stood up and he's very brave. And a lot of people, I like to remind people that he was actually sharing his experience after being a traumatized person. Like, that takes a lot of courage to say, here's everything I went through, you know, especially when you're not fully done, because you still have things to confront. But when you do that, then you can understand, you can see things through his eyes. So then you can have some empathy, but at the same time, you can kind of place yourself and see things that are similar. So now a lot of heterosexuals are able to watch the character of Jesse, and it isn't just a gay kid. They're like, oh, I know what it's like to be an outcast at school. I know what it's like to not get along with my parents or not have great friends, all these things, just to be a new kid. So now we can actually have common ground. And that's now people are watching Nightmare 2 with that lens, and they're identifying with it, which is what all of those other installments were so important to us for, was that we were identifying with these characters that come out as heroes. And now Jesse gets to be the hero, finally, after all these years, and we get a male lead, and it doesn't have to be like dismissed as sissy, because it's we all need to be able to like overcome stuff in life regardless. So thank you, Mark. You gave us a great movie.
Yes. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, he was essentially that that final boy, back then when so much of the landscape was was perceived to be like the final girl in slasher films. And even them, that representation, sometimes that could be perceived as kind of misogynistic too. You had to go through all these like sexual morality tales and trials and it's one thing that kind of comes to mind is with the genre not always being so nice to minorities, to gay and lesbian people, to trans people, to women. Have you seen a lot of progress going on throughout the industry in more recent years? Hopefully, with a lot of creators like yourself, taking the wheel and telling the stories.
In fact, that tends to be the only kinds of horror I'm interested in watching these days. It's like, listen, I'm not shunning the old stuff. I will always watch an old shitty movie. That's cool. But when I'm going to put on something new, I want you to show me something new.
Right.
And I'm enjoying that because I find that like I'm not really searching for them. There's a lot there.
They're accessible more than ever, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
But also the way that women are written, specifically women, because this is the root cause of the oppression, the blanket oppression to all of us, is that the misogynistic writing of women is not tolerated anymore. Yes, you can still be a woman in peril, but you don't need to have all the silly.
You don't need to wait for a man to rescue you.
Right.
No, that's that's great. These days I'm always interested in finding stories through lenses that I'm not aware of or don't really know anything about. So whether it's through my friends that are Black or Indigenous or gay and lesbian, it's like I want to experience those stories through your lived experience. And obviously, I've seen in previous interviews like Get Out is one of those films. I saw that in the theater. Holy crap, that was jarring for me, and I was just like, wow, I was like, wow, it was like that perception of slavery, going into that the sunken place. It's like, did you have to like separate yourself? Is that a continued existence? It's like, man, I felt, so bad, but it was good. It was good to be confronted with like, white privilege and those ideas. And it's just like, it keeps me more mindful as an individual.
Right. I think that is the inherent beauty of the horror genre, is with different characters, you get to perceive what is the most terrifying thing to them and how that unveils itself to other perspectives. Like, I love Get Out, incredible movie. I saw it 3 times in the theater. every single audience screamed at the right moment, laughed almost immediately because the tension was so good. And then at the end,
Right.
they were uproariously clapping and cheering at the end of that movie. And like, that is the perfect fucking ride as a filmmaker.
Yes.
I love that movie. On top of that, the like sunken place is this great allegory of being a passenger in your own body that everyone can relate to.
Yeah.
And suddenly like, oh my God, I know exactly what this feels like. And it's
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah. That wow. Yeah, when that idea was presented, on screen, that physical, it's like, depiction. It's like, what a perfect depiction of something so abstract, to feel in the moment. Uh, so yeah, it's just absolutely amazing, and I love it when film can do that and can present that mirror and that reflection on, society and social ills, that we really need to, confront, as a people, but really have no idea how to approach it. Um, Man, that's wonderful.
Right.
As fans, you know, Roman and Tyler, what are your usual like go-tos for films? Because we were talking about crappy films and going back to old movies, and obviously Get Out is Tyler is a favorite of yours. Um, what do you guys like to gravitate towards as fans? What's your entry point?
Well, first of all, I got to break it down. It is a quadrant of unserious to devastating, and then like high camp, low camp. Like, I love a very unserious, campy movie that I can watch with my friends, make fun of completely, and then like I'm having a great time. And then I'll see
Yeah.
something super serious and dark, and I will feel terrible for many weeks after the fact. And I will love that, but I'm not watching it again.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
I really love anthologies. I like short stories. I
Ooh,
work on a
nice.
lot of short films, a lot,
Yeah.
because I'm not too good for them. I love them. And I like short story format. There's a lot
Mhm.
of really great horror in short format. Everything from
Yeah.
like Twilight Zone to Creepshow, and we have
Yep.
a lot that have been coming out. Tales of Halloween or Trick or Treat. It's great. So I'm always down for that stuff. I do really like fantasy horror. I tend to gravitate more towards surreal things like Phantasm and Dream Warriors,
Yeah.
things like that. But then again, like it's the same as Tyler. I guess I just find myself. It also depends on what's going on in the world around me. Because
Right.
lately, only as of late, I'm starting to embrace a lot of these really horrific tales. For a long time, I just needed some like laughable or lighthearted or not so serious stuff because we've had a lot of stuff going on politically. So,
Yeah.
I've seen the trend. I mean, with the success of Get Out, you had a
Right.
slew of every horror movie had to be super subtextual, and when
Mhm.
we all had to have a really serious talk about grief and trauma.
Right.
I think Jamie Lee Curtis, God bless her. If I hear trauma, I hear it in her voice. Like, she owns that word now, and
Yeah.
that's great. Now every movie's about trauma, but then you see successes like Terrifier 2. We're like, no,
Right.
leave your brain at the door. We're gonna give you something horrific and brutal, and you're not gonna think. You're just gonna react. And I feel like the success of that is like, okay, we've had our moment to have really serious, great explorations of what the horror genre can do. We also would like the funhouse ride where we can just
Right.
scream and cover our eyes and giggle at how uncomfortable we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. The Terrifier movies are definitely, great entry point
I
for
will. I have to
making you uncomfortable.
confess that I have not seen them. I saw the
Oh,
half of
okay.
the first one, and I'm like, girl, no,
Yeah.
too much
Yeah.
for
Well,
me.
I have seen them for you. So,
I hear
they're,
part 2
they're,
is fantastic, and I'm excited for 3.
yeah, yeah. You're excited to hear about 3, right?
Here's the thing. Like, usually I'm the friend in my friend group who's like, there's a new horror movie coming out. We're all gonna go see it. This movie, I'm like, I need someone else to hold my hand, to bring me to that theater, to sit down and watch it. I'm not doing it for myself.
Also, like where you are in life has a lot to do with what you're interested in. Like I loved all the movies I liked when I saw them a long time ago, and I love that experience, but it doesn't hit the same now. And it's because I'm a different person now. I've grown up a little bit. It doesn't mean that I dismiss it, but they don't. Different things, you know, affect you at different stages in your life. And I think a lot of us, especially as we get older, the nostalgia trap is there for us. And I'm not above that, okay? I still love my 80s everything. But what was going on in the world at that time that made Freddy Krueger really scary isn't necessarily what's happening today. So either Freddy has to change a little bit, or I have to view different things. And they sometimes come around, you know? Slashers are coming up again. They're getting big again. People need that. But the motivation behind those movies has to stay current if they're going to be effective, you know? So the perfect storm will give you like the screams that you need.
Yeah. That's the thing is, again, you know, so many of these, you know, films are perfect mirrors into the, you know, the social and political, you know, atmosphere, and they hit you, you know, either at the, you know, the right time, you know, where you're at, you know, in your life. Brett just posted on here, maybe Eli Roth will surprise us this week with Thanksgiving, you know, and I think
I'm
of
so
that.
excited for this movie.
Yeah.
I saw Grindhouse in the theater twice. I have that Blu-ray. I've been waiting for this movie for years. And I think it'll be good.
Yeah, you know, you think back on like, you know, some of the depictions in that theme of Thanksgiving and stuff, you know, talking to like, you know, some of my indigenous friends too. They're like, I'm not going to go see this movie. You know, it's like, well, you might see a lot of, you know, white people dying in front of this. So it might be, you know, some just desserts, you know, in terms of, you know, that sensibility and that catharsis.
That's kind of the fun of a slasher movie in a horror genre. Like they are built on punishment. And a lot of these movies are very conservative. They're very like 80s Reagan, like if you do drugs, you're gonna die. If you have sex, we all know this. But we also get to revel in other people doing the things we want to do. And then we see like, okay, I'm not gonna do that because that will get me killed in a movie. So like they're training us to all be final girls, being like, you should know better.
That's right.
And but also I love movies like Serial Mom and Sleepaway Camp 2, where we're like, it's a very clear thing, like don't be an asshole and you won't die. And then the minute you become an asshole, like, I'm so sorry, but you
gotta go. Yeah.
It's your fault and you should know better. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Well, and even you know, with like somebody like you've got you know, genres of slashers, but then you've got like you know, like outside artists like John Waters, whose perspective I always just love. It's always a breath of fresh air, no matter how trashy it gets. I mean, and I cite even Pink Flamingos, you know. Yeah, that's one that, you know, you feel like, oh, I got to scrape my soul a little bit. It's like poor Divine having to
the beautiful thing about his work, especially in Pink Flamingos and Female Trouble, like he grew up with really a great understanding of what taste and good taste is, so that he could purposefully make it bad taste. It's not just like these are the filthiest people alive and look at how disgusting they are. These people think they are high glamour in their film. So like they are the queen of being terrible. And they still have a regality to them that only someone who knows good taste and good manners can make bad decisions on purpose. And that's why we're like, oh my God, it's so good. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so insightful. You essentially, you know, you got to know the rules in order to break them, right? And you know, create something new out of, you know, something that, you know, is so established and you know, perceived to be, you know, posh. But man, yeah, I absolutely love his films. We were able to catch him back in December at the Soiled Dove here in Denver. He did his Christmas spoken word tour, and oh man, it's so great and delightfully raunchy. So what a great Christmas treat.
Right, I've seen his show maybe like 5, 10 times. I see him all the time. That
Yeah.
show is different every time. Every time I see it, he's constantly writing
Good.
and making new
Good.
jokes, and they're always fantastic. So go see.
Yeah. Nice. My understanding is he's working on a new film as well. So I can't wait to see him back behind the lens, directing, because I feel like we've missed that as a society. We don't know what we've missed until it's not being presented anymore.
Did you read that book, Liar Mouth?
Elise has. I haven't had a chance yet. Yeah.
One of the
really enjoyed it.
filthiest things I've ever read. I'm reading it like on the beach. I'm reading it in airports, and I'm
Nice.
like ashamed that people can read my thoughts of what I'm reading, because I'm like, oh my god,
Well,
this is
and that's
disgusting
good.
and filthy, and I love it.
Yeah. I love it when a piece of art can challenge you like that and make you feel comfortable, uncomfortable. Yeah, and I feel that good art doesn't mean that you enjoy it in the same sense that you would enjoy like a Wayne's World movie or something where it's just ha ha ha, just it's if it makes you feel uncomfortable, it's doing its job. Um, Films like Midsommar, made me feel also very uncomfortable. We talked about Get Out and and that the sunken place and being confronted with like white privilege and stuff. I mean, great films, but made me incredibly uncomfortable, incredibly successful because of that. And because of that, I'll go back and watch those, because I need to be confronted, with those ideas. Same thing with like Scream Queen, got to be reminded of other people's existence to develop that empathy muscle and extend it to our fellow man, because that is a human story. And we love Mark, and we want him to do more and have a successful existence. And but kind of getting back to creating art too. What other works do you guys have going on?
So we actually have done a lot of stuff. We work on, doing a feature film is not something that you just take lightly. There's a lot going on there. We have a lot of things that are developing, but we've done a ton of short stuff, music videos, advertising. Like, he's an editor, I'm a sound engineer. So we're constantly working on stuff. You just aren't seeing it in theaters, but a lot of advertising stuff. Also, the pandemic hit everybody, right? And everything was flipped upside down.
Right.
We were still working. But the thing, I had a lot of personal things that happened that were just wild. And it took me a lot of time to unpack it. Stuff that I was developing into a film that we've been talking about for a while, but I needed a break, right? I needed a little time to process stuff, to tell my own story. Scream Queen was also really raw for me as well. Like, we went through we made the film and then we went on tour with it. And behind the scenes, we have our own whole story. It's a lot of emotional toll to tell a story like that for Mark, but also, I'm a generation right behind Mark. And I was able to pick up a lot of that intergenerational trauma as a child, even if I wasn't in the heart of the fire. It was I didn't realize how much weight I was carrying. And it took me a minute to release the movie out in the world, step back away from it, and then have to kind of unpack my own bags too. So it's a longer process than I even was expecting. So I needed a break. And now we actually have a lot of stuff coming out. You were talking about it's great when you can identify with other characters in films, seeing queer stories and things that are new for you. That's the era that we're in. We need to have those tales so that all people can start to identify with each other, so that we can start having lead characters where the story isn't revolving around their identity necessarily. We need to have gay lead characters that just are. Doesn't have to tie into this stuff. That's our end goal, right?
Yeah.
There's a new movie that we have launching right now called Wild-Eyed and Wicked. It's just actually premiered and won Best Feature, I believe, in Austin. It's going to be in New York City next month. Lead character is a queer woman and her girlfriend, and that is not what the story is about. She just is, and you deal with it. And then the rest of it is like a supernatural thriller that is quite beautiful. So I'm really excited for that to come out.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Saint Drogo, which is coming out soon.
Yeah.
I also co-edited a new drama movie starring Billy Porter and Luke Evans called Our Son with director Bill Oliver. So that'll be out, I think, next month. So
so we've worked on a lot of other people's stuff. We're out there. Our next thing is coming. My therapy is done, so watch out.
But the nightmare is never over.
The nightmare isn't over for you.
Oh, yeah, well, bring on your nightmares. I want to, I want to watch them, so man, that sounds great. So there's no shortage of work. You guys are, constantly doing, stuff. And I find that exciting. Man, that's wonderful. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about, what's going to go on tomorrow night? We're going to, be able to meet you in person and, see the film. I think Andy posted that they're going to screen Freddy's Revenge before it or something, in the lobby.
Well, we are right. If you've never seen Nightmare on Elm Street 2, you have an opportunity to see it before our movie. But if you don't make that, you don't necessarily have to have seen the movie to appreciate the time. I think we do a good job of giving you the basics. From when I hear people who have seen the movie who've never seen a horror movie, they're like, "Oh my God, I need to see that movie immediately." But also, I wasn't lost on the story. It is not solely about this movie. It is the launching point for something much bigger and much more personal that usually catches people off guard, because obviously Freddy Krueger brings a very specific audience, and they think that that's what the whole thing is, and it's about that for sure, but it'll take you into a direction you're not ready for. And that's kind of the joy of this movie is for the first 10 minutes, we give you what you want, and then we take you somewhere else. And then people really like, oh my God, I didn't expect to cry at a Freddy Krueger movie. And now it happens. And it gets me, we premiered the movie at Fantastic Fest in Alamo. And we were doing press all day, kind of like this, and I got to meet some of the press people. And then for the last 10 minutes of the movie, I snuck in and I found a seat. I'm sitting right next to a guy who had interviewed us earlier that day. Tears running down his face. Suddenly he's crying, and now I'm crying. And I'm like, I have to go on stage now and talk to all these people and be composed and get together. And now I have oh God, am I an empath because I can feel other people's tears? I don't know. Not what the story was, but you're not ready for this movie.
Well, tomorrow it starts at 6. We have a party for 2 hours till Scream Queen goes on at 8. There'll be a little intro. We're going to do a Q&A after. If you come in late, there'll be Freddy's Revenge playing on the TV screens in the lobbies. We'll have drinks and food and merch and stuff. So I tell people it's like a party. Come earlier. I have to be honest. I was a little insecure about coming back to show Scream Queen because we've traveled everywhere. It's played everywhere, streamed everywhere, and I thought, so everybody's seen it. Why do we need to come back? And Tyler was saying, no, not everybody's seen it. All of the people that were our initial targets have pretty much seen this movie. coming
Right.
back to Denver has been a really good experience for me because I've realized there are a lot of people just in the last 5 years. There's now a lot of horror fans that are not in the queer community that are now opening up to it more, and they're ready for Scream Queen.
Yeah.
I kind of just took it for granted and thought we've had our moment, you know? And I realized the enthusiasm we've had from the people we've met just out promoting the last couple of days has really kind of floored me. So I'm excited to see what happens tomorrow.
You have a great community here, and they're all going to be together under one roof, screaming and laughing and crying together.
Nice.
Yeah. That's what we can promise you if you come to our show tomorrow.
Yeah. That's the great thing of the you know, the group you know, screening. Yeah, that's why we see them, you know, see movies in theaters. You know, we all kind of tap into each other's energy and responses from what's going on the story that's being depicted on the screen. Brett just chimed in. He's going to be seeing it for the first time tomorrow night too. So, and
come say hello to us after the screening too. We'll have like posters and merch if you want to bring a souvenir home. And
Sweet.
You know, if you've already bought the movie and you want us to sign it, come and do it.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for. Brett is one of those guys that will bring everything and have you sit there for 2.5 hours just signing and taking photos with him.
My Venmo app is open. Bring it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. William is asking where screening is. It's at the People's Building, correct?
Yes, the People's Building. If I have a little flyer near me, I would give you the address, but it's in Aurora. It is the People's Building. It is. Yeah. It's called the People's Building, and it's at 9995 East Colfax Avenue. Sweet.
I appreciate that. And yeah, we've got the link to tickets streaming down below there, and then at the top of the comments, there's a link to go get tickets as well. So it all connects to all the pertinent information. So I think actually, Scott, I think I'm coming to see you here. I can tell you more about it in an hour or two. So
we're gonna give you all the stories at the Q&A. Cool. So this is just a little preview. Cool. We think we're entertaining now.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah. Now it'll be great, guys. You know, thanks so much for coming on the show and coming all the way out to Colorado and you know, sharing this tremendous documentary. I have a feeling that you're going to be coming back more often, you know, to share, you know, not only future works or more, you know, stories, but also this one, just because it's a story that needs to be told and retold, you know.
And Mark Patton needs to come visit.
Yeah, you got to bring Mark out as well.
Did you hear that, Brett? Get your butt in the booking. He's my partner with Colorado Festival of Horror, so you know he's the guy to talk to.
Mark is really good to his fans and to press. Anyone that wants to talk to him, he is a very personable guy and he loves to travel. So hit him up.
Yes. Yeah. So I think we got Brett on the hook now. And Scott says we'll see you then. So cool.
Thank you,
gentlemen.
Rainbow Cult. Thank you, Andy Hill, for bringing us out.
Yes.
We can't wait for the screening. Yeah.
Andy's an amazing guy. He's always so fun to work with and talk to. And guys, as we're about ready to sign off, I want to say, you know, thank you for being so generous with your time and coming on and chatting with us and you know, letting me learn and our audience, you know, learn a little bit more about what you guys do and you know, all the amazing you know, art and stories that you're sharing with the world.
Thank you. It was awesome.
Thank you for your kind words.
Yeah.
Oh, and for appreciate it. Oh, I'm sorry.
And for your platform.
Oh, thanks. Well, yeah, I come decked out.
I got a lot of skeletons in my closet too.
Excellent. Cool. And so just as we're starting to chime down, I want to say thanks to our sponsors, to Mutiny Information Cafe. If you're starting a revolution, make sure you're caffeinated. And of course, our friends at Hellfire Entertainment. If you're for rebroadcasting us on your social media, Groovy TV, and to Alien Donut Films, Angela Joseph Productions. Thanks so much for Bill and Angela, respectfully, and of course our producers Lily Fisher, Amanda Armstrong, and Stefan Santa Cruz. Thanks so much, guys. To everybody that tuned in. Make sure you go get your tickets right after this broadcast. We will see you tomorrow night. Come meet Roman, meet Tyler, say hi to Andy. He'll be there, and see this amazing film. Highly recommend it. It will bring you to tears, but any good human story should. Brought me to tears, and for everybody out there that tuned in, thanks so much. Be good, be kind, help each other out during tough times, and we will catch you next time. Stay spooky, everybody. Have a good afternoon.